Good morning. I hereby call to order this sixth meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2024. We welcome everyone joining us in the room here today and those of us joining us on a live stream. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. At today's meeting, which is open to the public, the Commission will act on various matters. There is no opportunity for the public to address the Commission at this public meeting. The public meeting motions, statements, and video will be available on the Commission's website later today. I would acknowledge that we do have a quorum of commissioners present and then Commissioner John Coleman is joining us remotely. The first matter on this morning's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of March 14th, 2024. I would like to recognize Commissioner Coleman as the editor of the minutes. Commissioner Coleman?
Thank you, Chairman. I have reviewed the minutes of the March 14th, 2024 public meeting. I move to approve as presented.
You've heard the motion by Commissioner Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. Minutes are approved by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary, we are ready for your presentation.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, Commissioners. Your various bureaus and offices have prepared the following items for your consideration. Therefore, let us begin on page 1 with matters recommended and presented by Director Monahan and the Bureau of Audits. It is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 1, beginning with the gas cost rate audit report for the Philadelphia Gas Works and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 2, ending the omnibus with the Act 129 Compliance Rider Phase 3 Audit Report for the PPL Electric Utilities Corporation and releasing all audit reports to the public.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfas, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 3, it is recommended by Director Moore and the Bureau of Consumer Services that the Commission adopt the proposed order regarding the petition filed by the Philadelphia Gas Works and revisions to its Customer Responsibility Program.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfas, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 4 and matters presented by Director Hafner and the Office of Special Assistance, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 4, beginning with the formal complaint of James and Teresa Mendez Quigley versus the Pico Energy Company and continuing and ending the omnibus at the top of page 5 with the petition filed by the PPL Electric Utilities Corporation regarding the company's Act 129 Phase 4 Energy and Conservation Plan.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
So moved.
We have motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Yonora. Commissioner Coleman, I'll get you next time. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Continuing on page 5, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the informal investigation and joint settlement between the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement and the PPL Electric Utilities Corporation regarding system-wide billing issues.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion? I do have a motion, a joint motion with Commissioner Zerfus on this. I would ask Vice Chair to chair the meeting.
Sure thing. Chairman DeFrank, I recognize you for purposes of your joint motion with Commissioner Zerfus.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We have a lot to put on the record here, so the length of this motion is long. I ask you to bear with me. Madam Secretary, please enter the motion into the record as though I've read it in its entirety. Before the Commission for consideration is a joint petition for approval of settlement filed by the Commission's Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement and PPL Electric Utilities Corporation with respect to an informal investigation conducted by I&E. The Commission provided interested parties with the opportunity to file comments on the settlement. We received 166 pro se comments from members of the public and PPL customers, along with comments from the Office of Consumer Advocate, or OCA, and the Coalition for Affordable Utility Services and Energy Efficiency in Pennsylvania, or CAUSE-PA. Reply comments were also filed by I&E and PPL. The petition states that had the matter been fully litigated, I&E would have proffered evidence and legal argument to demonstrate that PPL committed violations of the code and the Commission's regulations related to customer billing stemming from the failure of PPL's meter data management software, or MDMS, to transfer customer meter data to other software platforms, including PPL's Customer Service System, or CSS. The petition includes a summary of events that led to this proceeding. We highlight the following. 48,168 PPL accounts did not receive bills during one or more of their billing periods from December 2022 to April 2023. From December 22 through April 2023, 91,676 unique accounts received no bills. PPL issued a total of 860,493 estimated bills from December 20th, 2022 to May 5th, 2023. PPL indicated that many of these bills were unusually high or low, or contained missing or incomplete supplier charges. PPL analyzed 387,895 bills that were estimated in January 2023. The analysis concluded that 67.31% of the bills had an estimate differing from the customer's actual usage of 10% or greater. Of that 67.31%, 34.36% were shown to have an estimate that varied from actual usage by more than 25% of usage, while 47,904 customer bills were based on an estimate differing from actual usage by more than 50% of the customer's actual usage. 82,784 customer bills did not include any supplier charges or included, at most, only partial supplier charges, resulting in severely inaccurate bills. There was an issue with billing group number 12, which caused 3,805 customers to be sent incorrect bills. In January 2023, PPL received 217,539 calls. 89,315, or 41% of the total calls received, were abandoned. Page 11 through 15 of the settlement agreement set forth the full settlement terms and conditions. The essential terms of the petition are set forth in paragraphs number 38 through 41. We now take time to highlight some of the key items from the proposed settlement. PPL will pay a civil penalty of $1 million. Acknowledgement of PPL's actions taken in response to the billing issues. These include, but are not limited to, the following. They provided periodic updates to OCA, OSBA, PULP, and BCS. Conducted outreach to the customers impacted by the billing issues. Instituted or is in the process of developing a series of practices and protocols to help prevent and insulate technical issues that cause these billing errors. Did not terminate electric service for any customers for non-payment from January 2023 through June 2023. Voluntarily waived all late payment fees from January and February 2023. Is owed but will not seek to collect approximately $1.7 million from customers who received estimated bills and were underbilled. Refunded through a one-time line item credit approximately $1 million to customers. incurred costs totaling $16.2 million in responding to the billing issues and agrees not to recover any of these costs from Pennsylvania ratepayers. Upon review of the settlement and the comments provided thereto, we find it prudent to revise the terms. We find such revisions are necessary to sufficiently address the harm to the public and to provide impacted customers with adequate remedies, consistent with the comments filed by the OCA and COSPA. First, we note that PPL in its reply comments agreed to address a number of the concerns raised by the commenters. In line with those reply comments, and in addition to the previous terms mentioned, we propose modification to the settlement to include the following additional terms. Within 60 days of the issuance of an order approving the modified settlement, PPL will provide a detailed timeline for implementation of the various settlement provisions and file quarterly reports on its progress. PPL will revise its estimation formula based upon information provided in the settlement. PPL will commit to being open and transparent with the Commission, including the Bureau of Audits, regarding implementation of fixes to address billing issues. PPL will provide a root cause analysis report to the Commission within 120 days of the issuance of the Commission's order that will address the following: the billing issues to determine how customer balances and terminations were impacted, whether customers incurred late fees, and whether the refunds and foregone bills sufficiently addressed customers who should have been credited, whether the company's 6-month termination moratorium was sufficient time to help all customers facing difficulties due to the circumstances, and impact the company's 6-month termination moratorium had on customer eligibility for LIHEAP crisis grants. If PPL finds through this analysis that any of its customers were not properly issued a refund or provided with other necessary relief due to the termination moratorium, PPL should issue those customers a refund or provide other relief as appropriate. PPL will not recover the cost of the billing system malfunction from any ratepayers. PPL will share its methodology in calculating the $1 million in refunds and provide details on how refunds were distributed. Second, we agree with the OCA's and COSPA's recommendation in their comments that given the financial impacts may still affecting customers, particularly PPL's more vulnerable customers, it would be reasonable to direct funds to the company's hardship fund. We believe that directing PPL to donate $1 million to its hardship fund in lieu of the agreed-upon civil penalty will help PPL customers to pay their electric bills and keep their electric service on. Given these benefits to PPL's low-income customers, including those who were impacted by the company's billing issues, we propose that the language in paragraph 38A of the settlement be deleted in its entirety and replaced consistent with this motion. Such language is included in the full text of our motion. We believe such revisions will improve and add to the public benefits in the settlement to better resolve the severity of the consequences of the billing problems that led to this investigation. Therefore, we move that 1, the joint petition for settlement is tentatively approved as modified by this motion. 2, the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement and PPL Electric Utilities Corporation, as parties to the modified settlement, may elect to withdraw from the modified settlement within 20 business days after the entry date of an opinion in order modifying the settlement. 3, should the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement or PPL Electric Utilities Corporations, as parties to the modified settlement, elect to withdraw from the modified settlement pursuant to moving paragraph 2 above, the joint petition for settlement shall be void and returned to the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement. 4, should the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement and PPL Electric Utilities Corporation, as parties to the modified settlement, not elect to withdraw from the modified settlement pursuant to moving paragraph 2 above, the joint petition for settlement, as modified, shall be approved. And 5, the Office of Special Assistants prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Is there a second for the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion on the motion?
Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Zerfus, I recognize you for the purpose of your statement.
Thank you. I just have an informal statement here. But from the beginning, the PUC has shown a commitment to impacted customers by launching an investigation into customer complaints. We are further highlighting our commitment today by strengthening the proposed settlement to provide customers with additional remedies, protections, assurances, and dollars. So you heard from the chairman what those are when he read the motion. So these billing issues came to light in December of 2022, January 2023-ish, and we are now in April, almost May of 2024. There was a nearly year-long investigation, and I don't want to delay any more in providing these remedies, protections, assurances, and dollars to impacted customers. I want assurances that this isn't going to happen again now. I want improved policies, procedures, and protocols in place now. I want protections on rate recovery now. I want assurances in place now that if a customer is later found to be eligible for relief, that this customer will be made whole. And the infusion of $1 million into the hardship fund will nearly double PPL's hardship fund as it stands today with our actions today. I don't want to delay in providing relief or dollars to eligible families or seniors who are struggling with their energy needs, some of whom may be struggling with those energy needs because of the issues in the first place. I think this is a good settlement, as modified by the motion in particular. It shows that the administrative process works, that there was an issue, customers made complaints, the agency with oversight responsibility reacted, there was an investigation, there was input from advocates, there was a willingness from the utility to make things right. There's a proposed settlement with many items embedded on how things can be make things right. And here we are today trying to strengthen those that proposed settlement. So all that said, again, I think this is a good settlement. I don't want to delay any more since we're talking about an issue that happened in 2022, early 2023. I'm going to be a yes, clearly, because I'm on the motion. But thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus. Any further discussion?
Vice Chairman Burrow, this is Commissioner Coleman.
Commissioner Coleman, go ahead with your statement.
Thank you. I appreciate the joint motion of the chairman and Commissioner Zerfus, and I would just say that for all the reasons that both Chairman DeFrank and Commissioner Zerfus have articulated here this morning, that I do believe it is important that there is a civil penalty associated with this matter. So I don't support the converting of the entire civil penalty to a contribution to PPL's hardship fund. In my mind, that effectively results in a net zero civil penalty for the company. As these funds stay within PPL, they're used for PPL customers that are struggling to pay bills, and that the funds go to that customer and then back to PPL. So effectively, the funds stay within PPL, and I don't think that that's appropriate for this matter, as has been articulated by my colleagues. I also believe that it would be more prudent to return the proposed settlement to our Bureau of Investigation Enforcement for other actions that are deemed necessary, rather than trying to articulate those here this morning. And for those reasons, I will be voting no on the joint motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. I also have two statements. First, Kayla Ross, who works for me, worked in I&E and worked on this case. She has not advised me on this matter. And second, I do have some comments some verbal comments. I did not write them down. As currently proposed, this joint motion and the changes that it would make to the settlement are an improvement, a large improvement on the settlement as originally filed. So Chairman DeFrank and Commissioner Zerfus, I do thank you for that. There's a lot of good ideas in there. But I do have an issue with the proposal, and I know all of the things that you put in the motion, obligations on the company, that PPL revise its estimation formula for estimated bills. PPL is going to commit to being open and transparent with the commission regarding fixes to address the billing issues. PPL will provide a root cause analysis report to the commission within 120 days to address the billing issues, to determine how customer balances and terminations were impacted, whether customers incurred late fees, and whether the refunds and the foregone bills sufficiently address customers who should have been credited, whether the company's 6-month termination moratorium was sufficient to help all customers affected, or the customers that were put in a tough economic situation or faced service termination, just the ones that might have gotten lost in the cracks, the impact of the company's 6-month termination moratorium on eligibility for LIHEAP grants, and whether customers were properly issued refunds. And all of this is going to come out in that root cause analysis report that's to be filed with the commission if the settlement is accepted. And PPL is also to share its methodology in calculating the $1 million in refunds and provide details on how those refunds were distributed. So all of that is critical in my view, and I'm glad that it's laid out in the joint motion. My issue is that all of that information should be reviewed by the commission, if not by the commission, by the parties to the settlement prior to making a final determination on whether a settlement is in the public interest. Without that information that's being requested in the motion, I'm not sure how any of us can say that we have sufficient facts to render an appropriate decision to figure out what an appropriate civil penalty or fine or contribution, what have you, is pursuant to the Rossi standards. And whether, and this is more important to me than actually the civil penalty or the fine or the contribution, whether enough remedial actions have been taken to prevent this from happening in the future. So while the joint motion is a great start, it should not be the end of this. So for that reason, I will be a no on the joint motion. All right, so
Vice Chair?
any other? Yes?
Yes, just a quick comment. Regarding what Commissioner Coleman had pointed out, I certainly hear, and that was a part of this motion I struggled with the most regarding where the money goes. The reason that I decided to put it into the hardship fund, though, was a couple, and that is the unique situation here. Nearly 900,000 customers were affected by this, of all income brackets. And while this money is going into the hardship fund, helping the poorest of poors, we also talk about what the effect of uncollectibles do to those higher up the income ladder, just barely above that line. And so, Commissioner Coleman, I hear you. and certainly somewhat agree with you there. I'm just giving my rationale as to why I decided that I thought it would be prudent to put it in that hardship fund is because those folks that that dealt with the same adversity that everyone else did with the building issue here, getting hit with additional uncollectibles on the back end, I wanted to try to minimize that as much as possible. So that's why we made that decision. But I certainly hear what you're saying, Commissioner Coleman. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman DeFrank. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any objections?
No.
I also will vote no. On final adoption, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call?
No.
Hearing none, the recommendation is adopted as amended by a vote of 3-2. Gavel's yours.
No, it's 4. Is it 4-1?
Thank you. Noting the dissents of Vice Chair Barrow and Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 6, it should be noted that the first item on page 6, the formal complaint of Orpheus and Kimberly Hanley versus the Pennsylvania Power Company, has been postponed to the public meeting of May 9th, 2024. Continuing at the bottom of page 6, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion the remaining item on page 6, the formal complaint of Susan Lloyd versus the PPL Electric Utilities Corporation, and continuing and ending the omnibus motion.
Madam Secretary,
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a verbal statement on Lloyd.
On Susan Lloyd?
Yes, ma'am.
Very sorry. Then we will, as recommended, the Commission adopt the recommendation, the order and opinion of Susan Lloyd versus PPL Electric Utilities Corporation. And, Mr.
Is there a
Chairman,
motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion?
Chairman, I have a
Vice Chair.
verbal remarks. This is one of the 166, as far as we know, pro se complaints filed about billing against PPL that occurred during the time frame when they were having problems with their meter data management system. I simply want to ask that PPL review this case as well as any of those other 100+ cases that work their way through our process to see if there is any additional relief that may stem from whatever resolution comes out of the larger complaint brought by I&E. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary, top of page 7.
now turning to page 7. It is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the application of Mel's Mobile Service, LLC.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Motion made by Commissioner Yanora, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 8, and matters presented by Director Diskin and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 8, beginning with the application of Lightship Telecom, LLC, doing business as Earthlink Business, and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 9, and to include both items on page 10, ending the omnibus with the application of E7 Power, doing business as Ladybug Energy.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 11, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed order regarding the letter of notification filed by the Keystone Appalachian Transmission Company.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Commissioner Yanora. Any discussion?
Chairman, I have a motion.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. Please enter this motion into the record as though I read it in its entirety. We have a letter of notification filed on December 15th, 2023 by Keystone Appalachian Transmission Company. We refer to as CATCO. And they applied to build a transmission line tap to serve a new customer in Washington County. The project is going to be a 138 kV line splitting off of the existing Dutch Fork, Washington 138 kV line to a customer-owned Timber Lake substation. The line is a radial facility that interconnects to the transmission system at a single point of interconnection to serve one customer's load. Under our transmission permitting regulations, all lines over 100 kV must file an application to be constructed. However, the definition in our regs do not control the proper assignment of facilities between state and federal jurisdiction. That jurisdictional assignment is governed by FERC Order 888's 7-factor test. So despite this proposed line's higher voltage at 138, I believe the facility is a local distribution facility subject to state jurisdiction and not a supplemental transmission project as characterized by CATCO. And that's because the facilities are radial. Power only flows to that retail customer and not out to the transmission system. The power is consumed entirely by that one retail customer in a limited geographic area, and it is not resold. In First Energy's reorganization, all of West Penn's federally jurisdictional transmission facilities were transferred to CATCO. Although CATCO is authorized to provide electric service in the Commonwealth, the structure of CATCO would indicate that it does not intend to own state jurisdictional distribution facilities. So this project should be approved consistent with our letter of notification rules and because the project is necessary and proper to serve the customer described in the application. That being said, in a fact pattern such as the one presented here, where the facility is over 100 kV, but is utilized to serve only retail load, generally, it is the distribution utility that should file the letter of notification to apply for approval from the Commission. Therefore, I move that the letter of notification filed on December 15th, 2023 by Keystone Appalachian Transmission Company is granted, and that the Bureau of Technical Utility Services shall prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. We've heard the motion by the Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion?
Chairman, I do have a statement.
Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. I ask that my statement be entered the record as though I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission for review is the proposal by the Keystone Appalachian Transmission Company, LLC, known as CATCO, to provide service to a new customer in Washington County, Pennsylvania. I find that CATCO has met its burden of proof and conclude that the application for citing authority should be approved as filed. However, I do not agree that it is necessary to make any determination pursuant to FERC Order 888 or to direct utilities to change how they file these applications in the future. Therefore, I'm going to be voting concurring in result only on the proposed motion. Our regulations require a public utility to receive commission approval of an application before siting and constructing a high voltage transmission line, which for purposes of our siting regs is defined as an overhead electric utility line of greater than 1,000 volts. Accordingly, it was necessary for CATCO to file this application as the proposed service provided will be a 138 kV. CATCO has provided the information necessary for the Commission to address the purpose of siting regs, the consideration of the environmental, health, and safety issues associated with this project. I acknowledge that matters involving electric transmission service may present questions of jurisdiction. The Energy Policy Act of 1992 resulted in significant revisions to state jurisdiction by permitting wholesale energy competition. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission subsequently adopted rules, including FERC Order 888, to implement the act in the United States. FERC also acknowledged that its action was in no way intended to displace the jurisdiction of state commissions over matters such as their jurisdiction, such as siting. In my view, the Commission siting regulations at FERC Order 888 are not in conflict, and it's not necessarily appropriate to make a FERC Order 888 determination in the context of this application. The Commission has, on occasion, been asked to make FERC Order 888 determinations for transmission facilities. These findings were made in the context on the record proceeding litigated before the Office of Administrative Law Judge. Finally, it is unclear to me whether this process has afforded CATCO sufficient notice and opportunity to be heard on the impact of FERC Order 888 on their siting authority and process, and whether today's action will result in any unintended consequences contrary to the public interest or the completion of this request of service. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Any further discussion?
I do have one more thing to say in response to Commissioner Coleman's
Commissioner
comments.
Barrow.
Thank you. I actually agree with probably 99% of what you just said, Commissioner Coleman, but I think it would be remiss of the Commission if we did not, at this juncture, for purposes of jurisdiction, because money follows jurisdiction often, most times, did not put these parties on notice about what we consider this type of facility to be, because treatment of the cost and allocation of the cost are tied so closely to what we qualified this line to be. And I would hate for us to get down the road and the parties say, well, Commission, you didn't tell us you were looking at this facility in this way. Because I think that would be a fair criticism of the Commission. So I offered the motion just to level the playing field and so that all parties understand how we're looking at things. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Any further discussion?
Chairman, I'm going to
Commissioner
associate
Yanora.
myself with Commissioner Coleman's statement, and I'll be concurring the result only.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Did we take a second on the motion? We did, right? Yes. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passes by a vote of 5-0, noting that Commissioners Yanora and Coleman are concurring in result only. On the matter as amended by the motion, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Hearing none, matter passes as amended by the motion by a vote of 5-0, noting Commissioners Yanora and Coleman concurring in result only. Madam Secretary.
Continuing at the bottom of page 11, it is recommended that the commission adopt an omnibus motion, beginning with the final item on page 11, the suspension of the proposed rate increase filed by the PECO Energy Company, and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 12 and both items on page 13, ending the omnibus with the cancellation of certificates of public convenience for certain motor carriers.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 14, it is recommended by Chief Counsel Screven and the Law Bureau that the Commission adopt the proposed order regarding administrative penalties directed under the Pennsylvania One Call Act.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 15, and matters presented by Chief A.L.J. Rainey and the Office of Administrative Law Judge, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the recommended decision of A.L.J. Brady in the petition filed by the Philadelphia Gas Works regarding its Energy Sense demand-side management portfolio.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Yanora, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Continuing on page 15, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the initial decision of A.L.J. Gould in the formal complaint of Susan Ruggles versus the PPL Electric Utilities Corporation.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Yanora. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Zerfus.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary, consistent with previous public comments or concerns that I have had on proper notice and service of documents, I'm going to submit this statement for the record as if I read it in its entirety, and I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus. Any further discussion? I do have a conflict statement. Before joining my staff as legal counsel, Joel Cheskis was employed in the Commission's Office of Administrative Law Judge and worked on this case. Please note, he has not advised me in this matter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no.
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 The ayes have it by a vote of 3-2, noting the dissents of Vice Chair Barrow and Commissioner Zerfus. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 16, it should be noted that the first item on page 16, the formal complaint of Palos Ibrahim versus the PPL Electric Corporation, has been postponed to the public meeting of May 9th, 2024. Continuing at the bottom of page 16, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the initial decision of ALJ Heap in the formal complaint of Kevin Braybank versus the PECO Energy Company and Tomorrow Energy Corporation.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion
Second.
made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion?
Chairman, I have a statement.
Vice Chair.
Thank you. Please enter the statement into the record as though read in its entirety. This complaint by Kevin Braybank was brought against PECO and an EGS, Tomorrow Energy, alleging that when Mr. Braybank's enrollment in PECO's standard offer program ended, the high variable rate which he was rolled into was unreasonable. I agree with the ALJ's dismissal of the formal complaint, but I wanted to take the opportunity to discuss shopping awareness and the issues that arise after an individual's contract or participation in the standard offer program ends. First and foremost, customers who choose to shop or to utilize the standard offer program need to be aware of their contract terms and review all of the documentation provided by the EGS. Near the end of a contract, 45 to 60 days prior to the expiration, an initial notice is sent by the EGS to the customer. And then an options notice is provided 30 days prior to the expiration of that fixed duration contract. If the customer does not respond to either the initial notice or the options notice, the EGS contract will be converted automatically to either a month-to-month contract or another fixed duration contract as explained in the notices. So it's important to pay attention to those notices. Shopping for a supplier is never a passive act, and customers have to remain vigilant to be aware of the contract terms and the rates that they may end up in. Additionally, the Commission's regulations permit an EGS to convert a non-responsive customer to a month-to-month or a fixed duration contract. But I caution the EGS industry to exercise good faith and reasonableness when offering those new contract terms and prices. I'm concerned about the fact pattern that I keep seeing time and time again in these complaints by customers who say that because of a mistake in not reading their mail or what have you, that any savings they experienced during that initial contract term are wiped out, and actually more than wiped out to the point where it's costing them money that they shouldn't have had to spend. So it's important that the shopping customer pay attention to the notices that are sent near the end of their contract. But it's also, in my opinion, important for the EGS industry to be good ambassadors for their industry so that we can retain customer confidence in the competitive shopping market. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bauer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 17, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the recommended decision of ALJ Hoyer regarding the petition filed by UGI Utilities Electric Division for approval of Phase 4 of the company's Energy Efficiency and Conservation Plan.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes regular agenda. Turning now to the carry-in. On page 1 of the carry-in agenda, it is recommended by the Law Bureau that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on the first page of the carry-in, beginning with the proposed order regarding the petition for reconsideration filed by Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania and modifications to the company's Universal Service and Energy Conservation Plan, and ending with the petition for reconsideration filed by the Williams Companies regarding the company's declaratory order for alternative energy credits.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Yanora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the carry-in agenda. Turning now to the supplemental carry-in. On the supplemental carry-in agenda, it is recommended by the Law Bureau that the Commission adopt the proposed final form rulemaking order regarding hazardous liquid public utility safety standards at 52 PA Code, Chapter 59.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Commissioner Yenora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. Ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, that concludes all agenda items to be considered today.
Thank you. Before we adjourn today's meeting, we have a few announcements, and I would like to recognize Commissioner Zerfus for remarks on Earth Day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and apologies to everyone. My allergies are really bothering me today, and I think my medication's starting to wear off. But Earth Day is recognized each year on April 22nd. It is an opportunity to raise awareness about the environment and an occasion to take action. This year, I joined our executive director, Jennifer Barrier, and a great group of PUC staff and their family members for Pennsylvania's Green Gov and Tri-County Community Action's 12th annual Great Harrisburg Litter Cleanup last weekend. We were assigned to pick up litter in a section of Harrisburg, and I think we can all agree that it was a rewarding way to help make an impact on our very own community. Earth Day 2024 focused on eliminating plastic usage, and I can tell you firsthand, plastics were the #1 item that we were picking up during our litter removal last weekend. The very first Earth Day was celebrated back in 1970 when 20 million Americans participated in various efforts to bring awareness to environmental causes. And while Earth Day itself is a great time to focus on conservation and clean energy efforts, I encourage everyone to make it a daily habit. I'm pleased to note that our commission has recently become a part of the U.S. Department of Energy's Clean Energy Innovator Fellowship Program. This program funds recent graduates and energy professionals to support critical energy organizations in advancing clean energy systems that will help decarbonize the power system, electrify transportation and industry, and make the U.S. power system more resilient, equitable, and inclusive. This is a proactive way for the Commission to promote increased access to cleaner energy career opportunities in Pennsylvania and across the country, as well as support the national energy transition. For more information on how to apply for the fellowship, I encourage people to check out the PUC's website. And I would like to close today by reminding everyone that we can make simple choices every day to help limit pollution while safeguarding the environment, and every little action compounds over time and makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus, and thank you for you and your staff and the commission staff that participated recently in Cleanup Day. I would like to also take this time to recognize a couple of other observances we recently celebrated. On April 18, 2024, the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission joined the nation in celebrating National Line Worker Appreciation Day. First observed in 2013, this annual event pays tribute to the dedicated men and women who build, maintain, and repair the nation's power grid, from high-voltage transmission lines to lower-voltage distribution lines. Power line workers, along with other essential utility personnel, play a vital role in maintaining the infrastructure that powers our daily lives. Their swift response and unwavering commitment to service are essential in restoring power, communications, and other vital services to our homes and businesses. More than 120,000 line workers now service the nation's power grid, bringing electricity to more than 318 million people every day. Within our Commonwealth, more than 3,200 line workers help to ensure power is delivered to more than 6 million residential and commercial electric customers. Without question, the dedication and expertise of utility workers are particularly evident during natural disasters, emergencies, and other challenging circumstances. National Line Worker Appreciation Day serves as a reminder of the sacrifices utility workers make to ensure the well-being of our communities. Today, we express our gratitude not only to line workers, but to all utility workers who dedicate themselves to serving our communities. On behalf of my fellow commissioners, I encourage everyone to take a few moments to thank a line worker and express your gratitude for the essential work they do every day. Finally, yesterday was Administrative Professionals Day. In recognition of this day, my fellow commissioners and I join our directors, managers, and staff in recognizing and thanking all administrative staff for their invaluable contributions and for filling such a critical role in helping move our agency forward. Our PUC administrative professionals go above and beyond on a daily basis to help the Commission meet our critical responsibilities of balancing the needs of consumers and utilities. In a world where efficiency and effectiveness are paramount, the Commission's administrative professionals consistently rise to the occasion, exceed expectations, and help to drive our team toward excellence. Their outstanding work, dedication, and expertise do not go unnoticed and are truly appreciated, not just yesterday, but every day of the year. If there is no other business to come before us, are there any objections to adjourning the meeting? Hearing none, we are adjourned.